are Joe Rogan experience moments that will change your life.
Since this has all happened, haven't had I'm telling you again,
because you're on top of the world.
Well, yeah, but even before I have to be careful with what I say because I don't, my shit stinks. I'm nobody special and I'm not here to preach to anybody, but I'm telling you, giving things to God, for me, alleviated 99% of what, I had I don't know how to describe it, but when you experience, and I mean, you've done things that I haven't, with DMT and all, and that stuff's very intriguing to me. And so I'm open-minded to all that as well. I'm not, but yeah, I had, when I kind of had this breakdown moment and decided that I was going to let whatever ego I had go, and just at this point is I knew I didn't have much left in for me anyway, and I wanted to serve whatever purpose it was that I was here to serve. It's you get this just overwhelming feeling in you. I was just crying like a baby, just this very warm feeling throughout me, and that really hasn't gone away since. I'm not the guy that can play in front of 12,000 people on guitar. I would be I mean, I had never played a paid gig. When we played the show at the farm market where Jamie Johnson showed up, that was my first paid gig. I'm not a guy to go out and play live shows, but I can tell you I was so I was just so at peace being up there. It just felt like that's where I was supposed to be. And with all of this, it has been there's no way that Chris from 6 months ago could handle what's gone on the last 2 weeks, but I feel just so empowered from all of it. And I don't know. I'm telling you, again, I'm not anybody special, and I'm certainly not here to preach to anybody, but just from coming from somebody who was just in a really just fucked up place. And I use that word with discretion, but in this case it describes where I was. That guy found a lot of peace from this book and from
looking at things in a different way.
Yeah.
From looking at things through the eyes of Scripture. And
I think for me it was I had been in I'd been in church growing up, and I'd been exposed to all of that, but I'd found a lot of theatrics and a lot of politics in church and in religion when I was younger, and so it just immediately turned me off to it.
So if you can, take us to what was the day you picked it up. What was the feeling that you had? What caused you to act? What was it like when you did it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd been reading it here and there, off and on, and I had for off and on for a long time, because I was introduced to it as a kid, but it was really just I remember I went to the ER for everything that was going on. I mean, I thought I was seriously going to die. I was having shooting pains up under my jaw, down in my wrist and my leg, just cardiovascular 101 symptoms. Of course, I'm 31. I had been I could run 4 miles without stopping, no problems. I knew my heart was strong, but I just
freaking out.
Yeah, but I went and did that, and I remember being in the truck after that, and I just had a breakdown moment. I was just crying, and was just I just felt hopeless, like almost the way a child feels hopeless when they, you can't find your parent or something, like a 4-year-old that can't find his parents or something. I was just didn't have anything left in me, and I don't know. I just decided right then and there, I was I know I can't do this anymore, but I know that I can. I know there's things that I need to do, and I was just told God, I was just let me do it. And I'll give all this shit up. I'll give up the weed, and I'll quit getting drunk, and I'll quit being so angry about things, and I'll just I'll just call it good. Whatever I've done up until I was 30 or whatever, 31, we'll just call that good, and I'll start over again, and I'll make him the focus and not me. And I just tried to let my ego and everything that I was, just let that go and just focus on, because obviously it's not just me. I've seen it with even other people I know, and I see it with celebrities and everything. But I don't know. I just feel we're in such a weird place right now in the world that I feel like God's working inadvertently through certain people to get his point across.
So take me to what you did. Did you start reading the Bible? What did you do?
I just changed my perspective.
You changed.
I quit worrying about me, and I started worrying about what it is that I'm supposed to do. It talks in the Bible about being a servant, and giving up, I guess, my desire and my will and whatever it is that I want to do. I don't know the best way to describe it, but it's about trying to use what I have as a tool versus doing what I can in the moment to give myself whatever satisfaction that it is I'm trying to get. It's about trying to let go of your ego, I guess, in a way. And I mean, people pursue that mentality without faith. I mean, it's the idea of there being something bigger than you. But I think inherently all human beings idolize something. Like it talks in the Bible about false idols. We all have false idols, like whether it's our phone or it's a celebrity or it's something we do or it's our addiction to food or drugs or whatever. But like it's very difficult for a human to be the biggest thing on their hierarchy. There's always something above us, right? Because we're always in pursuit of something bigger than whatever it is in that moment. And I think for me, it was just about taking everything else, all the distractions and all the other things in my life away and just ensuring that at least, and look, we all sin and we all do stupid things. Like we're all just people. Nobody's special or righteous. People sometimes act like they're special and righteous, but we're all just the same thing. Like, but it's just about trying to make that my idol. Make God and the concept of what it is that He wants done on this earth my idol versus anything else. You know, like we all serve some master, whether we realize it or not. So why not let it be the master that is above all?
And so when you made this transformation in your mind, did you then start reading scripture like regularly? Like what did you start doing?
Yeah, well,
that was different.
Well, what really, I guess it's like now I don't read it. I don't read it because I feel like I should read it to be a better person. It's like now I try to read it for the guidance within it. And I'm still in the infancy stages of a lot of this. Like I've read a lot of Psalms, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, and Luke, and there's other good books. But just trying to, I don't know, like trying to restructure, I guess, on a granular level, like I guess the neural pathways in my brain that have certain habits and certain ways of thought. Like I've tried to retrain that to, you know, like there's things it says like, and I'll be very brief with this, I promise. But like one thing, ironically, it's Proverbs 4:20, which I thought you would like. So if there's anything better,
perfect.
But,
read it. Preach.
My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them and health to one's whole body.
If measured like serotonin and dopamine levels, you know, there's so many factors. There's so many factors into why someone would be depressed.
Yeah.
Some of it has to be genetic, just like mental illness. Some of it is absolutely genetic. Some of it is life circumstances. I mean, if you have a shitty job and a shitty life and shitty friends and a shitty house and a shitty neighborhood,
Yes.
you probably feel like shit.
I remember when I had all that, and I was depressed.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was logical depression. There was a reason I was depressed. I was newly in the world as a person out of college, so I was starting life. For the first time, I didn't have the protective guardianship of school.
Right.
Okay, so that's scary. And I was worried, am I going to be a failure in life? Here I am trying to be a comedian. Okay, that's a risky proposition. Not many people make it. I was embarrassed to even tell people, you know, what do you do? Oh, I'm trying to be a comedian. Okay, that's funny. And I lived in a shitbox, and I didn't have any girlfriends, and I had no money, and I was depressed for very good reason. No respect. I had nothing that makes people happy. When I got more of those things, I got happier. That's normal, okay? That's different than the person who has lots of great things. I mean, you read about this all the time among the show business community. And people, I'm sure, all the time say that, why is this guy depressed? He must be on top of the world.
Right.
And, you know, and no, he had to quit the tour because of mental health issues. He was depressed. People are lining up to see him in fucking arenas, and he's depressed. And it's, because that doesn't solve the problem when it's a chemical problem.
Yeah, and I think also for some people, they worship this idea of success as being the thing that's going to get them out of it, that's going to make them happy. And then they get success, and then they get accustomed to that success, and they're still not happy. And then they get really depressed, like, oh my God, I'm at the top, and it sucks.
Right. I mean, if that still doesn't fill the hole in your heart, then where do you go? You got nothing else.
Yeah, I always wonder. I mean, I think these things vary very widely. And I always wonder, like, what is their life like? What are their friends like? What's their family like? What do they do for activities? What are they eating? Are they sleeping well? Like, are they doing anything to mitigate it, to put themselves on a path, you know, that gives them some sort of a feeling of accomplishment in life, a feeling of like, and I don't mean accomplishment in terms of like material possessions, but like you're doing something. You're getting something done.
A reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah, something that you really enjoy and gives you joy. and it gives you happiness and satisfaction. There's a lot of people out there that don't have that. You know, like you said, we're really lucky that we
Yes.
have jobs that we enjoy. We love what we do. We have like,
Love it.
I mean, there's a reason why when someone says to you, "Oh, you're going to be a stand-up comedian," good fucking luck, because most people don't make it.
No.
How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy.
Yeah.
So a lot of people put a title on me. They want to, they see me now. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. And what got me to this point was I was just the opposite of what I am today. I was that guy who ran away from absolutely everything that I got in front of me. But not many people knew that. I had two people. I had the real me was like this very scared, insecure, stuttering, got beat up by his dad, all this kind of stuff. And then I built this fake person that walked around like my shit didn't stink, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I did it. And through a process of time, I realized that I was lying to myself and lying to people.
But it's a fascinating journey, though, because you are that guy now.
Right.
I mean, you genuinely are a legit badass.
Right.
And at one point in time, you were a legit terrified person.
Yes.
So what was the process? Like, how did you step forth?
Well, it's a long process.
Right.
My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. I was the first black baby born in this hospital called Miller Fillmore in Buffalo, New York. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big time pimp, big time, anything bad about a person, big time hustler. He was American, you know that movie with Denzel Washington? Mm-hmm. He was that, but not that bad.
Right.
You know, he wasn't that big, but that's what it reminds me of. He was that kind of guy. And beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs, and he drug her down the stairs by her hair. And at 6 years old, I'll never forget this. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, "Hey, you got to get up and do something." I didn't want to do shit. I was just afraid, but that voice would force me to get up. And my dad, I tried to beat him up, whatever, at 6, and I get my ass kicked. So this went on for several years. And I have a big time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So my dad, it was about the business, the skating rink and the bar. So the skating rink opened about 7 o'clock at night. And this is the time I was able to walk. So about 4, 5, 6 years old, 8, 9. And I'd go to this, skating rink at 7 o'clock at night. And I worked the skating rink until 10 at night. And then we would scrape the gum off the floors and we cleaned the whole skating rink up. And then my dad had an office. And my brother and myself would sleep in the office. And my mom would go upstairs and work the bar until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they cleaned the bar up. So after all that shit was done with, going to school rarely happened. So when I went to school, I was all kind of, my learning disability. I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. From the outside looking in, we lived in an all white neighborhood. And then we would travel to the ghetto of Buffalo, New York, where the skating rink was at. So we worked around mostly blacks, and I lived around mostly whites. But no one knew what was going on in that house on 201 Paradise Road. It's crazy. But my mom got courage to finally leave him when I was about 8 years old. We moved to a small town in Brazil, Indiana, and that's when the real war started for me. And Brazil, Indiana is a small town. Great people, a lot of great people. And I say that because a lot of people get offended. And I'm going to get to the point why they get offended. There was about maybe 10 black families at about 10,000 people in the town. And in 1995, the KKK marched in the 4th of July parade. So this was not everybody was racist. There was a lot of good people. Some of the best people I knew was there, but there was also a lot of racism there. So me being one of the few black kids in that, in that area, it kind of haunts you. I had stuff on my notebook, nigga, we're going to kill you. On my Spanish notebook, they had that on my car, nigga, we're going to kill you. This is early 90s. And so even though I showed it didn't hurt me, it was jacking me up. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, I moved into this area here, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And the shit haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. And I decided to make moves. And I cheated all through school. And it's kind of humbling to talk about my stories sometimes, and it's also embarrassing, but it's real. It's who the fuck I am. It's what I am. It's what created me. And copied from the 4th grade to my junior year in high school on every assignment. And I wanted to get in the military, wanted to join the Air Force, and the guy gave me an ASVAB test. It's like a watered down SAT, and I couldn't copy on it because the guy beside me had a test A, I had test B, the guy on my right had test C. So I looked to copy on this test and I couldn't copy on it, so I got like a 20. And I wanted to be an Air Force pararescueman. It's guys that jump out of airplanes and save down pilots. It's a special operator in the Air Force. And my score was so horribly low that I had to retake it again. And he said, hey, I got like an 18 the second time, even worse. I need to get a 50 out of a 99. And so my mom and I, for a while, we lived in the government subsidized apartments, $7 a month, and also food stamps. And we slowly moved up to a $230 a month place. But at the time, we pretty poor. But my mom afforded enough money for me to go to see a tutor one hour a week. So for 4 hours a month, and I had 6 months to study for my last test. I could only take the ASVAB test 3 times. And I studied my ass off and passed it. And I got in the Air Force and realized there was more things in front of me. I was afraid of the water, terrified of the water. And I learned how to swim. But what gets everybody in this training, in all special ops training, is the water confidence, where they try to pretty much drown your ass. All of our lives we've been breathing. And they take that from you, and they want to see how comfortable you are underwater. And there's only 1% African Americans in special operations. And I didn't know anything about African, like a lot of them are negative buoyant, which I am, because of the bone density. I struggled. But 6 weeks into the program, there was about 25 guys left out of about 150. I was there, and I didn't go to sleep for 6 weeks of the program. And I wanted to quit so badly, but I quit everything in my life. I copied through school. I wanted to prove people wrong. And so here I am in this Air Force program, starting to get a little more confidence, but this water was kicking my ass. And 6 weeks into the program, the doctor gave me a blood test and realized I have sickle cell trait, not the anemia, but it still killed people. But so they put me out of training for a week. And when you go from being very uncomfortable in that water situation, and then now you're comfortable, and I'm sitting back watching the guys drown. I'm not part of the activities anymore for this week. I didn't want to get back in that damn water again. So the fear overcame me, and all my insecurities from my dad, from this small town, from everything started coming back. And even though no one knew how fucked up I was, kind of create this other person who was tough, I lived with this shit all the time. So me not wanting to go back in that water, the doctor called me back up. I thought I was going to get like a medical kick out of the military. So no quitting for me. They'll kick me out so I can have some pride. The doctor said, no, man, we could put you back in the training. And I was like, fuck. But after a week, I'm like, you know what? I missed 1 week. There's only 3 weeks left. There's a good chance, I could tough this shit out and go on. But I went back to the CO and the commanding officer of the program, and the sergeant said, hey, you got to start from day one because you missed, that week of training. And I broke. I couldn't imagine going back through that again. So I made up a lie. And I said, man, the sickle cell thing is really scaring me. It was the fucking water. It wasn't sickle cell. And I pretty much quit. Even though they gave me a medical, I quit. So from the age of 19 to the age of 22, I went and did a job called TAC-P, where you control fast movers behind enemy lines. Cool job, but there's no water. I was afraid of the water, so I avoided it. And I gained 125 pounds in that time frame. I went from 175 to almost 300, to 297 was my heaviest. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. So I got out of the Air Force, and I started working for a job called Ecolab, where you spray for cockroaches at 24, and spraying at different steak and shakes, Red Lobster, whatever, from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. And what changed, I came home and watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224. I came home from Steak and Shake. I sprayed it down last, get a big old large 42-ounce shake, walk across the street and get a box of mini donuts from 7-Eleven, and I would drive home for 45 minutes. This big old fat guy who, I worked out, but I was fat. I didn't run, didn't PT, I just hit the gym. So driving home, turn the TV on, and what comes on, Discovery Channel show, and that's where everything changed for me. I was taking a shower, I walked out, heard these guys, and I watched the show. And it made me reflect big time on the piece of shit that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. So
what was on this show that really struck home?
It was, I saw these guys going in the water, so I was terrified of it. I mean, I can't even express. Have you ever had a big fear? And I know a lot of fighters have fears and stuff like that, but they get over them. But a lot of us have these fears that you just don't want to fucking face. And I have a lot of them. I had a lot of them. And that's what created the person who's in front of you today, and we'll get into that. But just a scared bitch is what I was. And but I was watching these guys going through Hell Week, class 224, and these guys ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many fucking people in my life, my dad, my mom for not being there. When I was 14 years old, my mom was gonna get remarried to this great guy. He got murdered. And then I moved back to that small town in Brazil, and I everybody was to blame. My learning disability, my skin color, you know, me being everything. And so I sat there for a while, and I was like, man, I got it. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period. And so I had to man up, and I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have, no matter what the fuck it is, man. And these things would keep me up at night. No one, people who are hearing this shit, they will never really understand and grasp when you face these things and so many things, how they keep you up and haunt you at night.
I think there's a lot of people out there that know what you're talking about.
I mean, and so that's what it did. And I had two options: to either be that 300-pound guy who sprayed for cockroaches and made $1,000 a month, and at 24 years old, knowing when I'm 50 fucking years old, I can reflect on this and think about what guy I never became, or I can totally just sack it up and fail and fail and fail until I succeed. So I started calling recruiters up. I said, I'm gonna go be a fucking Navy SEAL. And every recruiter, so there's a weight and height, so the weight and height limit to get in the military. And I was 6'1" and 297. And I had prior service, which was a big deal. So I called all these recruiters up, and all of them said, hey, how tall are you, blah, 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 blah. They got into conversations to see if I was even qualified. And by the time I got to my weight, phone would hang up pretty much like, hey, you know what, call somebody else, you know, try to get in the reserves. So I tried to get in the reserves. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff. And to get into the class I had to get into, I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life. So in this job, you're looking for cockroaches, looking for rodents and stuff like that. And this next morning or this next night, I went to work and I don't like cockroaches too much. I hit the mother load of cockroaches. And this restaurant got full of cockroaches and rodents and everything else. And I sat there and I said, this is my life. I said, this is my life. You are exactly who the fuck, this is it. And I said, this ain't gonna be it for me. So in that restaurant, I quit my job, left my canister in that restaurant, my spray canister, got back in my Ecolab truck, and I went home. And I started working out like somebody, I became the most obsessed person on the planet Earth. And I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment, be called nigger, be called whatever the fuck in the world, and be able to stand in the fucking room and say, go fuck yourself. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, if it was snowing, the first instinct is don't go out there and do shit. My instinct was, we gotta fucking go out there. Anything that was fucking horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it. And I started callousing my mind at this point in my life. And I lost the weight. And I went back to recruiter. I got into that class, and I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. Only guy to ever be in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, to my knowledge. The first one I didn't make it through. The next 2 I did. And that I just didn't stop anymore from there. And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. And it changed my whole mindset. So I went from David Goggins and I created Rogan'S. And that journey is a priceless journey that is hard for me to even explain to people because it sounds so quick and easy. Like I lost this weight and I went through 3 Hell Weeks. I went to Ranger School, went to Delta Force Selection, whatever it is. It was brutal. It's a brutal journey every fucking day. And everybody goes, well, are you happy? If anybody knows my life story, and I'll try to give you just a snippet of it, where I'm at today is in front of Joe Rogan telling you my life. To get through where I became, to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. Because I have this face that they see like, are you happy? What's wrong with you? I'm driven. I'm obsessed. And that's what you see. That's it.
People need to hear this story. This is an exciting story for people because there's a lot of people out there that feel trapped and they feel stuck and they feel like they can't do anything and this is who they are. And you're a guy who felt that exact same way, but figured out how to not be that person and be a person that you would admire. What were the first steps? Like, you had some slips before, right? Because you quit because of the water thing.
Right.
But then when you went back the second time and you decided you're going to lose all that weight and you quit that job, was it just straightforward from there? Or were there some days where you just failed and then you picked it back up again?
So my first run, when I decided to lose the weight, I was, like I said, 297. I was about 32% body fat. And my idea was to run 4 miles for my first run. I didn't know how bad it's gonna fucking hurt me. I used to run before I was fat, and I was like, fuck it, I can do this. I ran a 1/4 mile and walked home. I walked home and sat on my couch and cried. I went to my mom's house, who was about maybe 20 minutes down the road, and cried and get in her couch saying, man, I can't fucking do this shit. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just got somebody pregnant. My life was just fucked. I was making $1,000 a month. My rent was $810 a month, and my mind just kept fucking with me. And kept fucking, you're not good enough, man. This isn't for you, man. These guys are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet Earth. You're not that. And what it was, and it's kind of funny, I was obsessed with Rocky. Rocky 1 in particular. And when I was a kid, I'd come home every day and I watched this fucking show, Rocky. And I would fast forward with the little VHS tapes to round 14. Round 14 fucked me up like nobody's business. Why? The song came on. When I bought the pull-up record, I listened to the song for 17 hours. It's 2 minutes and 13 seconds. And I'm able to visualize and dream like nobody's business. And I know that I can create a vision that many people can't. And I work for it. So the vision I had was when Apollo Creed beat the fucking shit out of Rocky, beat the shit out of him, he kept fighting. He was a dumb fighter, couldn't read, that was me. Couldn't read, couldn't write, just punchy, everything about him. And Apollo beat the shit out of him. He was in that corner and everybody was saying, stay the fuck down. And him getting up, Apollo Creed raised his arms up in the fucking air, turned around, thought he won the fight. He turns around and sees this guy getting up, and it was the face of Apollo Creed that changed my life. The face of Apollo Creed. It was like, just by that motherfucker getting up, not winning, just by him getting the fuck up, Apollo Creed was champ, he's the best. Rocky had taken his soul. Had literally taken his soul. His head goes down. He looks at him like, what the fuck are you? I wanted to be that. Not Rocky. I wanted to be the guy that people looked at. I don't care if you liked me or didn't like. I don't care. But it said, this motherfucker is going to keep coming after whatever the fuck is in front of him. I wanted that. I wanted that worse than anything in the world. So I kept picturing me falling down and getting up, and every motherfucker that called me nigger, I was dumb. Even myself, I wanted to feel something besides defeat. I wanted to just go the distance, and that going the distance pushed me to a point of where now I go way past the distance.
So you go the first day, you run a 1/4 mile, and then you walk back home, and
right.
you're upset. How do you move forward?
So basically, what I did was I came home and I had a chocolate milkshake. I sat down and I gave up. I said, this ain't gonna fucking happen, man. I could lose 106 pounds and I can't even go a 1/4 fucking mile. I started being able to take negative shit and be happy. And this whole, I say what if a lot, it sounds corny and it sounds weak, but it's true. One of the recruiters said there's not many black Navy SEALs. Matter of fact, I was the 36th African-American SEAL in history. It's in over 70 years. Because of the fucking water, you know?
Right.
People get mad at me. It's fucking true. Just get over it. And so I was like, man, what story would it be if my fucking fat, dumb, lying to be friends with people, insecure ass can overcome this shit? And that what if mentality, like that dreamer mentality just would always fuel me. It would just fuel me, man. What if I can be a SEAL, man? What if I can go from running a 1/4 fucking mile? Now I run 205 miles. What if I can go? What if I can go? And what if, how would that feel if I'm graduating? Because I'll never forget at the graduation thing I was talking about, 224, like the video I sat down and watched. This command officer stood up and he said to the graduation guys who are graduating buds, like 18 of them, he said, we live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded. And he went on to say something about these men detest mediocrity. And I wanted to be a man that detests mediocrity. It got me in a lot of trouble in the SEAL teams and going forward in my life because I started looking down on people for not going hard as fucking shit. And I started to create different things, but that's for a different day. But I just believe that, my whole mind changed.
I already believe you're an alien, so you don't need to like.
No, I'm just
I'm
clarifying
all in on
to people that this is not like, I think this theory is fun as fuck and I love it, but I don't know if it's true.
Like people ask me like I think one of the most taboo things to talk about today is like you could talk about fucking or drug, you could talk about anything, but when anyone goes, hey, where's your spirituality at? Or
Oh,
what?
boy.
It's like a conversation stopper, right?
Well, you know why? Because anybody who asks it like that is annoying.
But like,
Where's your spirituality at
Okay,
right now,
right.
David? That's like
it's in my blue asshole
someone's
right now.
henpecking you.
But like,
what are you doing, David?
But like, I've never asked you that. Like, what is your thoughts on
You
God?
just-
I did it. I went there. Like,
Well, considering having a podcast, it's very different than someone just bringing it out of nowhere. I am not an atheist. I've never been an atheist. I've never been someone who says, I know there is no God.
right.
What I have been someone who has said that a lot of the stories that are in a lot of the religions clearly have the hand of man on them. There's clearly some description that implies things that are okay to do because of the cultural values of people that lived 3,000, 4,000 years ago, whenever they wrote this stuff. Clearly, it condones slavery, it treats women as second-class citizens. There's a lot in these words that clearly have the hand of man. But there's also some inherent deep wisdom and a moral scaffolding that would make the world a better place. And almost all of them, there's something there that gives people structure and discipline and connects them in a community of like-minded people who believe the same thing. I think there's a great value to that that's underappreciated by people who call themselves atheists. I think there's also a great value in, if you truly believe you're living your life and you're going to be a good person, you're going to go to heaven, you will have that energy through your life. You will be carrying the belief, and it will actually aid you in your life. And that if you think this is pointless, it's all just existential angst and it's all chaos, like, you live better if you believe that this is all for a better purpose and this is all a part of a God's plan. That might be true. It might not be true, but you live better if you think that way. You can do that and still look at facts and reality, and you don't have to be ideologically captured by some writing that was written down thousands of years ago.
Right.
But you are better off if you believe that this is all for a greater good.
Love.
Love. Yeah, and that's
Love.
probably what God really is.
God is love.
And love, what love is at its most pure is a force of creation, a force of like adhesion and bonding of human beings. And we know the opposite. The opposite is what's happening right now in Ukraine. That's the opposite. The opposite is,
That's hate.
yeah, that's murder and fucking whole scale murder. It's wild chaos. I mean, war is hell. It's the worst thing that people do. And that exists at the same time on earth with some of the best people enjoying some of the best times together. While you are with your family and you are with your friends and people come over your house and you have dinner and you're laughing and having a good time, on some part of the world, someone's drinking out of a puddle. You know?
Yeah.
In some part of the world, someone's in an apartment building that just got hit by a missile.
Yeah.
You know, it's all happening simultaneously, but we only have the ability to understand what's happening to us. And we kind of think these things, we know these things are out there because we watch TV and we watch the news, but we don't believe it. It's like, it's not even like there's people that are calling for like war in Ukraine. Like, you don't even know what you're saying. Like, you don't even know what that feeling is. If you knew, that would be the last thing you would ever want to happen.
I fucking love you, man. Like, I love you.
I love you too.
And you too, Jamie, you fucker. Like, I'm not gonna leave you out of this. And wow, like part of the thing, I love what you just said right now. And part of like the way I pray is creativity. Like when I make something, that's how I interpret prayer. And what you talked about is like this belief. It's faith, right?
Yeah.
So, and part of why a lot of things I've done in my life, people have accused me of being suicidal, right? They're like, why are you going into MS-13 territory? Why are you going to the Congo? Why are you going to Bosnia? Why are you going to places that are in conflict? And part of that is like, I like it when it hurts. And it's just like, I'm attracted towards darkness, or I was. And part of that is just, I don't believe. Like I watch the news, I watch something and someone tells me, I've been to every state in America, right? Like most Americans haven't done that. And is there unrest? Is there racism? Yes, there is. But when you try to say everything, like try to make it binary and everything in like black or white, like I've had an amazing time in Texas so far, right? And all these places that are considered racist, yeah, I've experienced that also. But even when I go to like Atlanta at a black mall, I went to the wrong mall and everyone's yelling shit to me. If I could find one kid and be like, hey, why are you calling me that shit? And then I bond with him. In that moment, I'm just with him. I've used love. And he didn't run away from me. Like him and all of his friends were doing this. They were like, and I was like, this is like 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. And they were yelling. They're literally yelling. You came to the wrong mall, bro. Wrong, you know? And I was like, oh, shit. And I felt threatened. I felt like, oh, shit, like something's about to happen. And this is 1999 or something, you know? And so, you know, because of the religious abuse that I was raised in, and it's crazy because most of the mental health institutions or rehabs I've been into, you've heard about sexual abuse, physical abuse. You've heard of those abuses. I had never heard the word sexual abuse or religious abuse. And I'm like, it's disproportionately a lot of Orthodox Catholics, Orthodox Jews, hardcore Muslims, hardcore Christians, hardcore Mormons. Like, it's just that like organized, like you have to be like this or else you're bad, creates so much shame. And I'm like, fuck God, fuck religion, fuck all. But that's like, now I've gone the other side towards hate. And I'm like, I'm a loving person. Like I was telling you, like, it's not an accident that you're like the biggest podcast in the world. You're such a sweet, loving, you don't like get involved with all this other bullshit podcast drama that all of these other, like, you're just loving, you're lovable, you are love. And so I always go, I tend to be a hater. That I'm always pushed to like talk shit or be bitter and fuck everything sucks. And I need love to drag me back. And
can I smoke a cigarette in here? Mm-hmm. The people that I'm quitting when the special come out, Mom.
You want a cigar?
No. Last time I did that shit, it fucked me up.
Cigars fucked you up? How so?
It just made my shit all dry. I mean, this ain't healthy, but I'm an addict.
It's definitely not healthy.
I'm just making excuses. I'm an addict.
How often do you smoke them?
Cigarettes?
Yeah.
I don't know, probably. You know, it changes when I'm doing comedy or
Really?
when I'm performing.
You smoke more?
Yeah, I smoke more when I'm at the comedy store and shit.
Because everybody else is doing it? It's social?
No one else does it.
No one?
Very few.
Kind of bullshit asking.
Like most people, like now it's just the era of the healthy comic.
Ah, those motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. They're judging you.
Judgers. Goddamn judgy fucks.
My special comes out today. I'm done.
That's it? You're done?
I told her when it comes out, I'm done.
And what are you gonna do to replace it? You gonna do gum? You gonna do the shit that you put in your mouth?
Oh shit!
You know those. I was hanging out with Schaub at Schultz's wedding, and he takes those little dip pouches, shoves them in his mouth.
Nah, fuck
he
that.
grabbed 3 of those motherfuckers and stuck them inside his cheek like a squirrel. And I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm an addict." He goes, "I'm a straight addict."
I can't do it, man. The
Really?
dip shit. So one time when I was deployed, we had our little. This was my second deployment, so by this time we had like more comforts and shit, and we had our little 12x6 can or whatever.
Right.
But my can, so there's 6 Marines sleeping in one of these things.
Fun.
But my can had we had negotiated with the locals, and we had a TV, we had an Xbox, and we had a little makeshift couch that we had built and like made comfortable. So everybody would come in our room and like watch The Sopranos or play or come in our can and all that shit. And this one motherfucker, I can't remember his name. Anyway, this son of a bitch had this weird habit of leaving his dip bottles every fucking where, right?
Oh no.
Yeah, and one day I'm sitting there, I'm drinking my shit, and I put it down by my feet, and I reach back down, and I grab it, not looking, mouthful of dip spit. Yeah, it took 3 people to pull me off that motherfucker. It wasn't fair to be mad at him for real for not paying attention, but I can. It's you have those events where you
Can't control yourself.
You relive them. Like every time I think about it, I can taste it, and I could never dip. And I'm still mad about it.
I've dipped. It definitely gives you a nice little head rush, but not as good as cigarettes. Cigarettes give you the best head rush.
Yeah.
It's like a woo. But
I love a cigarette before I go on stage. I don't know how I'm gonna replace that. Like right before,
you gotta try to use a Juul or something like that.
I don't know.
That doesn't work good enough.
No, I think you just have to stop. Like
have to stop.
I started. I had this book called The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, and everybody that I've got to read the book, they've stopped, but I've never finished it. You know,
What does
so
it tell you to do?
it's so the premise of it is basically like they, instead of telling you the reasons you shouldn't smoke, they attack the reasons why you say you smoke. Like all the reasons people give, and they show you that they're just excuses, that you're just as much of an addict as a crackhead or.
That doesn't help you.
No?
I think what helps people is things like ibogaine, mushroom trips, things like that.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that my buddy that actually he just left. He moved down here actually. Mitch, I can't remember Mitch's last name. God damn it. Anyway, he quit after a mushroom trip. He was like, he did shrooms and was like, nah, I was just done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you start thinking about what you could be doing to your body. You know, what could be happening inside of your body.
Yeah. So maybe I just need a picture of a tumor to just hang over
or
my
a health
neck.
scare. A little bit of health
Well,
scare.
I've had enough of those. That doesn't stop people really.
No? From
No,
cigarettes?
It's people that's dying in the hospital now that's still sneaking out to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, but that's just because they know they're dying. And they're like, I'd rather just take the cigarette now, other than like die and not enjoy a cigarette because you're already dying.
So you said the type of health scare where they like, look,
Stop
if you
now.
stop now,
Yeah.
you'll be okay. But if you don't stop now,
Yeah.
maybe one of those.
Something's got to they got to show you your lungs where you see the blackness, like the tar and all the fucking decay and the. Have you seen like a smoker's lung when they pull it out and they put it next to a healthy person's lung on an autopsy table?
Yeah, and it looks.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Go see if you can find a video. Or a photo. They do autopsies of these people who die of lung cancer and lifetime cigarette smokers, and their lungs. They look like they're just covered. Look at that.
Jesus.
Look at that fucking lung.
It's
So
like,
look at
like lung jerky.
Look at that one. The black lungs of a chain smoker, the one the upper left. Click on that. Look at that. That is insane, man. That's so insane. That looks like someone. Oh my God! Look at that next to a regular lung. That is so wild. One lung is like orangey, reddish pink, and the other one is literally black and white, like white tissue and black tissue. Fucking wild, man. That is wild. Ugh. Terrible. As I
God damn it.
smoke my cigarette.
This is like
Look at that one up there. That one, the second down, right below that. Look at that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at they're all shriveled.
This is
and
like showing me stool samples while I'm eating.
yeah, but that's if I'm still hungry, I'll still eat.
Really? You could just power through
Yeah,
it?
I was on Fear Factor. It's not real?
This is a computer.
Oh, it's computer generated.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
That's still pretty accurate.
probably accurate. But the one next to it is real. That's real.
Damn, what's wrong with that one down there? The one that looks like it has cheese on it.
Which one's that?
The one in the middle bottom.
Oh, it's pussy.
What is that? Pulmonary pathology. Good God.
It's fucked up because like the thing that scares people the most is not being able to breathe. That's what's interesting. It's like that feeling that you can't breathe is terrifying to people. That's why drowning is so terrifying to people. But they say that the last days of a person's life when they're dying of lung cancer is like drowning. It's like you can't breathe and you're gasping for air. And it's like your lungs are filling up with fluid. You can't get any oxygen in there.
Because all the sores are like
Yeah.
popping.
Ugh. As you tap and take
just-
another hit. You went through that cigarette quick too. Oh, how many do you smoke a day?
It varies. But a pack at the most.
A pack.
Yeah.
It's a lot. What is a pack? 16? How many's in there?
20.
20?
It's actually perfectly formulated for you to smoke all day.
Oh, so if you start early and keep going?
It's like the rate that like the nicotine gets out of your system.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be like every 40 minutes or something like that. And so you have just enough cigarettes to smoke all day long.
You know what's interesting? Like nicotine is actually a medicine. Nicotine itself, I think it's got heart applications. See, like nicotine for heart. Nicotine. It's
Like
also
they use it to treat shit?
nicotine by itself is not bad, which sounds so crazy. And it's also a nootropic, meaning like it stimulates cognitive function. Like nicotine does stimulate. It's one of the things Stephen King said in his book on writing, is that quitting cigarettes was very hard for him because it's like his writing suffered a little bit. It was harder for him to write.
Oh, dude.
Because there's something about the cigarette that like it fires up the synapses, it fires up the brain, and then the writing would come smoother.
Yeah, I don't know because I've smoked all the time I've been doing comedy and writing. So, man, that would be like torture. Like if the ideas came to me less.
Yeah, I think that's what he was saying. but I think you could probably get around that with other stuff.
Kind of like everything. If I want to quit drinking or quit doing stuff, it's pretty easy for me. But I just feel bad for the guys that couldn't get out of the cycle, you know.
Yeah, there's some guys, man, whether it's booze or pills or whatever it is, like you can't keep away from it. I had a good buddy of mine that died in I think he died in 2001, 2002. And he just was always up and down. He just always, it was coke and pills and then booze to calm him down. And then I'm going to clean up. And then he didn't. And later in his life, it got to be pills. It got to be heroin. And it was just, woof.
That's what killed my brother.
It's a number, opioid overdoses are, I don't know if it's the number one killer of young people, but it's 100,000 people a year. They're dying of fentanyl overdoses. And a lot of it is accidental when they're getting it in something else. They're getting it in some, street Xanax or street.
I didn't even know what it was. And when the doctor prescribed it to me, I figured it was something that, kind of like the normal pain pill stuff. But when it got in my system, I can't even, looking at my dogs, I can't even remember my dogs' names. What in the hell? That's why I said, at the time, I said, I'd rather be dead than on this stuff. Really, that's where I was at with it, because they had me so loaded up. I had no idea it was some crazy drug that was going to change society completely and kill everybody that touches the stuff. A lot of these police officers just have encounters, opening bags up, and they overdose just from contact, so.
It's insane when you see the size of the amount you need to die from it. Yeah. It's so tiny. It's so fucking sketchy, and it's coming through the border. And the precursors come from China. Holla.
Holla.
It's the whole thing is just insane, and I don't know how to solve that problem. There's probably a bunch of steps that should be taken, but the point is for a person that's gone through it like yourself and has come out of the other end, and you're showing that, that this is what's really helped you. I think that's very powerful.
Well, that's the truth.
I believe it. Yeah, you speak the truth. It's clear.
It's the truth.
It's awesome. It's awesome to see you, and it's awesome to see how sharp your mind is, man. Like, what are you? Do you take supplements, vitamins, and things like that, or like, are you?
Yeah, I used to be the organic guy, and go straight to Nature's Food Patch, which is our little independent grocery store where we live. And of course, I still buy the food there, but I was buying the vitamin stuff. And then I got with a nutritionist, that kind of like did muscle testing. And if there's like 5 or 6 vitamin C's, she can tell you which one works the best for you, by having the product there and testing it on the spot. And so I've gotten sucked into buying all the vitamins from her, And so I got that from the A to the Z, as the Sheik would say. I've got all the vitamin stuff. And if I take too many, man, at one time I have to split them up a couple times during the day. If I eat the whole wad at once, man,
so you're going ham. You're taking a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll just get sick as a dog, nauseated.
Yeah, but has it made a noticeable difference when you started doing that?
Not in the amount of pain in my body and the way I feel.
Yeah,
it's just my mindset and everything. It's kind of like, instead of going down that rabbit hole like I used to, I reel myself back in. I got to check myself at the door a lot, because I can be pulled real easy. I don't have like road rage if somebody pulls in front of me or anything like that. But when things happen business-wise, or somebody that I care about or a very good friend lies to me or something, I kind of like, I get that the good Hulk here, the bad Hulk here, and I kind of like, I lean into it, and it's just our business. We just handle things differently with men. Like I talk to men differently than I talk to women.
Sure.
And with men, we've always been able to kind of like,
don't fuck me, Mike. Come on, buddy.
Whatever. It's just it was just the business I was in was so different. If we had a problem, it either would be fixed there or out there. Right. And so it's just kind of like I kind of like keep it dialed in now. And so things are good, man. Things are really good.
That's good that you could avoid that kind of stress, but you have more access to resources, like mental resources, when you're healthy. So if you're taking good nutrition, you're eating well and sleeping well, you'll make better choices for the most part than if you're tired. Like, that's why people make such poor food choices when they're tired. It's like literally something that goes on with your brain when you're exhausted that you'll just go, fuck it, let's pull into a Jack in the Box drive-through. Yep. And you'll eat a bunch of shit you feel terrible about 5 minutes after you eat it. But that's just, you don't have access. If you were healthy in the middle of the day at noon, you wouldn't, I'm not going to eat that. I'll feel like shit. You'll eat better. Like, you make better choices when you're healthier. And when you have more energy and your body is given all the proper nutrition and rest and fluids, and you're well hydrated, you're going to function better. You're going to think better. You're going to make better choices. You're going to do more things. It's just a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Well, when I was drinking a lot of alcohol, which January 1st I quit drinking. I went 7 months without drinking anything. And all I know is when I was drinking at night, when everybody would wind down, I'd be the one eating the popcorn, eating the protein bar, getting the ice cream and all that stuff, and I was hovering, even about 2 years ago, I was still hovering around 300 pounds,
Whoa.
And so, I'm down to like 260 now or 265. That's kind of like what I weighed in 9th and 10th grade. So, I feel much better, just cleaning my act up, and just like you said, if we went out drinking last night and raising hell, I'd have felt like crap sitting here.
It's so hard when you've had a few drinks and then you come home. It's so hard not to just go ham.
Oh, I go crazy. I eat everything in the refrigerator.
Just start making sandwiches, and I made 2 3-egg fried egg sandwiches one night. Ooh. So I ate 6 eggs, fried eggs with like bacon.
Peppers?
Oh yeah. Pepperoncinis? Yes. Yes.
Amen.
And Primal Kitchen Chipotle lime mayonnaise. So I've got that. Oh my God, American cheese melted. Let's go. Let's fucking go.
That's great.
I ate 2 of those and I felt terrible after. I was like, what's wrong with you? It's 2 in the morning, you fucking dipshit.
I did Chicago theater Saturday night, and Yoni's like, Philip from Sushi by Scratch. They have a Chicago location, so they're sending sushi. I'm like, awesome, that's good. We're gonna feel good. He goes, and also the best pizza chef in all of Chicago wants to actually cook pizza in the kitchen of the green room. He has his own oven. He's done it before. He's gonna make fresh Chicago pizza. And oh my God, we went crazy. I must have had 10 slices of pizza, and I've been pretty much, no bread, because it's like poison once you stop eating it, you know what I mean? But that was basically just like, it's like doing heroin. It was so exciting.
Did you crash?
Oh man, I mean, like you wouldn't believe. Like it was just like, I was just like disgusting afterwards, even compared to like drinking. It's funny because you drink and you eat shit and you feel like shit the next day. But what I've learned only recently is that you can drink as long as you don't eat the shit.